the United States has unleashed its special weapon, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier. With a heavy displacement of 100,000 tons, a wallet-draining cost of $13 billion, and an entire catalog of weapons enough to destroy entire cities, this aircraft carrier, no, supercarrier, is the largest, most expensive, and most lethal aircraft carrier on the seas. Russia and China continue to compete with this beast of a machine, but as this video will show, they are nowhere close because in virtually every metric of measurement, the USS Gerald Ford proves itself as the overall most indomitable aircraft carrier the world has ever seen. USS Ford, the world's most advanced aircraft carrier. The USS Ford was already the most advanced carrier in the world before it was completed. To build it, the U.S. Navy had to stop work on over 9,000 other projects. At a displacement of 100,000 tons, the carrier displaces twice more than Russia's Admiral Kuznetsov and is 3 times as valuable. But size or monetary value isn't what makes the carrier a monstrous power projection tool. That credit goes to these 5 war-defining features. Number 5. Nuclear power. 2 Bechtel A1B nuclear reactors, the most cutting-edge engines created for use on water, power the USS Gerald Ford. As a result, the carrier would only need to be refueled once over its entire 50-year operational life, as these engines make use of the everlasting nature of nuclear energy. This means USS Ford can run for 25 years without refueling. And with a peak speed of around 30 knots, the supercarrier can access every country on the planet, just in time to pay friendly visits to allies and wreak havoc on enemies. Number 4. AI and automation. The USS Ford is as intelligent as they come, with a balance of brute force and intelligence capabilities. It achieves this by exploiting artificial intelligence, particularly in the form of unmanned vehicles, which are, on their own, making a name for themselves. The automation of the carrier itself also comes into play, allowing for fewer crew members than expected for a ship this huge. And with fewer personnel on board comes more free space in the ship's hull to hold more systems, weapons, and life enhancement features such as ergonomic spaces and gymnasiums, which ultimately results in a better quality of life for the 4,500 crew members. An important factor, seeing as a carrier can only be as agile as the crew that keeps her oiled up and ready for action. Number 3. New sensors and processing systems. USS Ford features the latest sensors, processors, and weapons needed on an aircraft carrier to maintain that balance of intelligence and lethality. Unlike virtually every other aircraft carrier in the world, the USS Ford features a single system for both horizon and volume search in the form of the AN Spy-3 multifunction radar for X and S-band active electronically scanned array. It remains the most advanced radar system from the US, with enough versatility to handle surveillance, air traffic control, missile communications, and spot targets from miles away. Number 2. American fighter jets and UAVs. Up to 75 fighter jets and unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, can call the USS Ford home at a time, including the Navy's favorite child, the 5th-generation F-35C Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter, whose development program remains the most expensive weapons development program of the Pentagon to date, with a reported cost of $400 billion. The result of such an expensive program is a fighter that can really do it all: close air support, vertical takeoff and landing, and everything in between, cementing it as the modern go-to fighter for the Navy and every other department of the military. That is, until the 6th-generation F/A-XX fighter takes center stage, of course. And for when that happens, the USS Ford is already equipped with the technologies required to host, launch, and arrest it. Number 1. Advanced Launch and Arrest Systems. An electromagnetic launch system that catapults every kind of manned and unmanned aircraft in the sky in the shortest possible distance, and an arresting gear that saves them from becoming sea divers by grinding them to a sharp halt. The edge of these systems that offer 4,100 takeoffs and 16,500 arrests before faults over short takeoff ramps, and even older steam-powered launch systems are increased sorties, meaning more aircraft can take off from this carrier and land on it in the shortest possible time than any aircraft carrier without these systems. And although China draws from this, the launch and arrest systems on the USS Ford are the most advanced, and they, combined with other factors mentioned, play a role in why no competitor can beat the USS Ford. But there's more. Why no competitor can beat USS Ford. The United States aircraft carrier dominance comes firstly from the due diligence of building the most advanced aircraft carriers ever, and secondly, the competition not being much of a competition at all. In fact, 25% of the world's aircraft carriers belong to the US, and their total deck space is more than double that of all other nations combined. Many of these other nations are NATO allies, who aren't exactly looking to surpass the US in military might, leaving only Russia and China as possible competition, although neither really is. One look at the best aircraft carriers both have to offer is all the proof you could ever need. Type 003 Fujian, China. On June 17, 2022, China launched its third aircraft carrier, the Type 003 Fujian, named after the Fujian province in China. It is the country's third and by far most powerful, succeeding the Type 001 Liaoning acquired from Ukraine as an incomplete post-Soviet ship, and the homegrown Type 002 Shandong that was modeled after the Liaoning. The Fujian is new, and like any new flagship military equipment, not much information has been released about it. But there's enough to know just what the aircraft carrier could offer. Like the American Supercarrier, it features electromagnetic launch systems, but only has 3 as opposed to America's 4. The Fujian uses conventional propulsion, inferior to the American nuclear propulsion that could keep the Ford running for decades. The Fujian has a displacement of 80,000 tons, making it 20% lighter than the Ford's 100,000 tons. And with a smaller size comes a smaller air wing, although the exact number of support aircraft is uncertain at this time. However, it is certain that there's more than enough to give the Chinese Navy options to execute missions. And with their electromagnetic launch systems active, virtually all kinds of aircraft can take off from the Fujian. Although the aircraft carrier is inferior to the USS Ford in almost every way, it marks a major milestone in the indigenous aircraft carrier building capacity of China and would likely welcome siblings that pose more of a threat to the American fleet. Russia's threat, on the other hand, comes in the form of a 40-year-old aircraft carrier known as the Admiral Kuznetsov. Admiral Kuznetsov, Russia. Prior to the launch of China's Fujian, Admiral Kuznetsov was the largest conventionally powered aircraft carrier in the world. It is a 1,000-foot-long ship with a displacement of 58,000 tons and an air wing of 30 to 40 advanced aircraft. The aircraft carrier is armed to the teeth with armaments specifically designed to disintegrate even the largest aircraft carriers. The carrier wields no less than 24 rotary-style vertical launch systems, each with 8 missiles. These cells can fire in rapid succession the 192 SA-9N Gauntless point air defense missiles that the aircraft carrier has on board. The Admiral Kuznetsov is also fitted with multiple AK-630 cannons and Kashtan missile close-in weapon systems that combine to detect and destroy short-range incoming missiles and enemy aircraft that have somehow managed to penetrate the outer defenses. Then there are also the pair of UDAV-1 anti-submarine and anti-torpedo rocket systems. But all of these only serve as opening acts for the real offensive punch of the Admiral Kuznetsov. 12 massive P-700 supersonic anti-ship missiles nicknamed Shipwreck, because that's really what they do. wreck ships. At 15,500 pounds, each of these missiles weighs the same as a combat-figured F-5E Tiger II jet, and can fly at more than twice the speed of sound to deal earthquaking destruction with a 1,600-pound fuel-air conventional or nuclear warhead. Any successfully struck target of the P-700 missile is certain to get blown to smithereens. With these capabilities, the Admiral Kuznetsov being on the seas right now should qualify as one of NATO's biggest worries. The Admiral Kuznetsov, Type 003 Fujian, and USS Gerald Ford are the most advanced aircraft carriers to come out of the three most powerful nations in the world today. And while the offerings from Russia and China are no doubt worthy contenders, the USS Gerald Ford from the US is simply impossible to match up with. Hence the title Supercarrier. To help make it even more super, subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. Thanks for watching.